Hello, everyone. You are very welcome back to A Wee Piece, the official Youth Link podcast. It's great to be with you again. And today we've got a very special episode. So this year of 2025, some of you may know, we talked about it in our January podcast, but the Catholic Church is celebrating a Jubilee year, sort of a year of new beginnings, starting afresh and starting anew. And over the summer there, last week of July into August, the Vatican was holding the Jubilee of Youth, where young people from all around the world were invited to Rome to share in their faith and to come together in their belief of Jesus Christ. And we were very lucky here at YouthLink to have the opportunity to send some of our staff off to represent YouthLink at this Jubilee of Youth, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about here today. So today I am very, very fortunate to be joined by Adam, Debbie and Phil, who all took part on this pilgrimage to Rome. So thank you so much for coming here, guys. Very, very good to have you here. You're very welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to get us started then, I suppose we'll just go into, there's no real structure or, rhythm to this podcast. It's just going to be real reflections on the time we had there. So out of us four, two of us were from the Catholic tradition originally, and two of us were not. And so it was a very much a mixed church, approach in coming to this pilgrimage. And it made for some really great conversations. So I suppose I'll just start with Adam. Do you want to go ahead and tell us just a bit about your time and maybe some background and how you ended up in Rome this summer?
Yeah, thanks for having us on. And a big thank you to Lauren High for letting us use this little cupboard down in Lauren High School. They've been great. And actually, with it being International Peace Day on Sunday, I suppose before I ended up in Rome, Joe, as he does, offers you, being in YouthLink, to go to different events and things that challenge you a little. So he said, would you like to go to Rome? He didn't say exactly what it was about or who it was with, but he said Rome, and I said, I'll have a think about it. And then he said, well, it's the Jubilee. And I thought, okay, I can't really work in YouthLink and claim to be happy to work with everybody from different backgrounds and different faiths and traditions and not be willing to challenge myself to go on this. So I said yes to Joe, and we booked the tickets, and that's how I ended up. I had no idea what I was going into, so that's how I ended up going to Rome.
Yeah, and Phil, what about yourself?
Yeah, so similar to Adam, Joe approached me and offered the opportunity, and with the Empower to Transform programme, I'm based in Dundalk and connected with St. Joseph's Redemptorist down there, and getting to work alongside schools and especially the church there. I thought it was a great opportunity to get to know the bigger picture within the Catholic Church of what goes on, and actually get like a real first-hand experience of the Vatican and Catholicism, really. Having grown up in Newtonards and Bangor and currently living in East Belfast, very, very Protestant, very loyalist areas where you don't really get that education. So it was a great opportunity to go out and to have fellowship with people from the Catholic faith and really just get a better understanding and a proper education of what it actually is.
Thank you so much. And then same for you, Debbie. How did you end up in Rome this summer?
Yes, exactly the same. So Joe said, would you like to go? And I was a bit reluctant just because of busyness. And then I said yes, and it was an amazing trip. Adam and I went with the Clogher Diocese, and one of the highlights for me was just getting to know some of the group who were on pilgrimage together, and shout out to James McLaughlin, who is our trustee, who looked after us the whole time when we were in Rome. So yeah, incredible experience. Glad I went. It was very warm, and we went for 10 days. So it was a bit long, but amazing to be in Rome.
So yeah, no, amazing. Just to give some context, so as you heard, Adam and Debbie went with Clogher Diocese with James McLaughlin, and Phil and I are very fortunate to travel with the Diocese of Derry with Lizzie Ray, who is another one of our trustees. So another shout out there for our trustees, and we had a great time. So just you touched on it a bit there, Debbie. So I'll open it to all of you. Just any reflections on the young people we travelled with. Not how you found them, but more just like what was that experience like going on a trip like this? Something I guess only happens once every 25 years, and a lot of young people there, this is really like, I'm sure a lot of them, like myself, weren't alive at the last Jubilee. So what was it like sharing in this experience with them?
Yeah, I first of all, I met the guys for the first time in the airport. and a range of ages, backgrounds, and it was really interesting in the airport. And then we met Father Leo and Stephen, Deacon Stephen as well there, and we got onto a plane, and the fun began at that point. What was really interesting about it is that some of the guys didn't know each other, but their ability to include each other and just support, and no matter where they were in their faith, they really kind of got alongside each other and were willing to kind of chat things through and really accept difference in different thought patterns. And particularly, I found them really open to myself. And to be honest, they didn't really care where I was from or what the background was from. They were going to Rome to experience this. So I was amazed at how quickly they all got on and how much they accepted me from YouthLink within them. And I was truly thankful for what came next after that. So yeah, that was incredible from the start. It was good. I'm sure Debbie would agree with me on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I find it hard calling them young people because they were young adults and slightly older adults, a couple of them as well. But I think the thing, that struck me most was, Adam, you're talking about them accepting you, and maybe because you're not from the Catholic tradition, but I felt it similarly with just them accepting me, someone that they didn't know. So yeah, I find that really incredible. I also just thought that we had the best crack. Like, we just had so much fun, up early in the morning and trying to find trains and trying to find places and, laughing our head off together in the evenings and stuff. I think the thing that most struck me about the group and individuals within the group is, this sounds so Catholic, but how holy they were, how much they understood their faith and how they engaged completely in their Catholicism, probably. And to be honest, that was actually inspiring for me and a reminder, of what's rich in the Catholic tradition. So I would say they actually inspired me. I think, sometimes as youth workers or as people who have worked with young people for a long time, we think that we're going to go and make an impact and we're going to be the ones that are going to make a difference. And often it's the other way around. Like, young people, or in particular this group of young adults, just made a massive impression on me and inspired me to keep going in my faith.
Wow. Yeah, no, amazing. Thanks so much, Debbie and Phil. We obviously travelled with the Derry Diocese, so we were there for 7 days rather than 10. And while we were with Derry, we were also travelling alongside the Diocese of Armagh and the Diocese of Dromore. So another shout out to our other trustee, Francis McNally from Dromore. So just a bit about the group we were travelling with, Phil. It was quite a large group with those three parishes coming together.
Yeah, I think there's about 42 of us all in all with those parishes coming together. And we had quite a young group, I would say. There's a lot of 18-year-olds and a lot of ones in first years of university, and yeah, I mean, they were a brilliant group. Like you said, the crack was just brilliant, everyone getting on. And I kind of share with what Adam saying there about his group. Like, I felt very welcomed being from a Protestant background, and what kind of surprised me was I was probably maybe the first person they'd met from a Protestant background, so there's a lot of questions going, well, what do you actually believe in? And it was a great challenge to me to kind of really think about myself and explain that, but also the opportunity to share that and my faith and what I believe and how I believe that. Especially for some of the young people there, they're very young in their faith, and it was a great opportunity just to have conversations alongside them and challenge them a little bit, and challenge me as well on what I believe and why as well.
Yeah. Amazing, and I'm gonna keep the hot seat on you, Phil, just and then we can work around everyone else. But you touched on sort of the challenge of this for you, coming to learn more about the Catholic Church and challenge yourself. And Adam, you said a similar thing. Sort of, why is it important? Do you think that not only that you went to this event in Rome, but why is it important? That we are always challenging ourselves to be involved with other churches and to learn about actually what beliefs we share and what beliefs maybe we differ on. Why is it important to put yourself in that somewhat challenging place?
I think it's important, and it comes simply just down to education. because if you're not educated, the likelihood of you spreading, like, the word misinformation gets thrown around quite a lot these days, but it is true. And like, I think back to my time in school and where I grew up in, and I was told lies by people that I went to school with, and it was nothing of what I've come to believe, and especially with my connection with YouthLink, of going through the degree and working there and going on this pilgrimage to Rome. Like, the misinformation that was there when I was growing up was real, and to be actually have it probably clarified and really see the realities of what it means to be a Catholic and what is believed within the Catholic faith was really enlightening. And it helps me to go back to, like, my Protestant backgrounds and people I work with, and to challenge the stereotypes or things that are being said that aren't true. So it's great from that point of view. So I think it's important, basically from an educational point of view, know what you believe in and know what other people believe in, and ultimately to have respect for that. You might not agree with it, but certainly respect what other people believe in, and that allows people to have really good conversations and challenge people on what they believe and why, ultimately.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always think of, Joe McEwen, our CEO, always says, seek to know before you are known. So just that really ties into that wonderfully. So same to you, Debbie, obviously coming from a Catholic background yourself, so maybe a bit more comfortable than the other guys here. But was there anything, why do you think it was important that they were represented?
I think it's vitally important. I mean, I think one of the things that I kind of have always done and always wanted to do as a person, because I grew up in the Troubles, was work in a cross-community context. So everything that I've ever done has always been in that context. So, working at YouthLink is almost like the epitome of that. But it's vitally important, particularly us from Northern Ireland, that we understand each other more, that we seek to understand, that we try to accept difference, because we find it very difficult in Northern Ireland to accept difference. And it's very, very important. For me, Pope John Paul, or now he's the Saint John Paul, always said, a Catholic mind but an ecumenical heart. And that's something that, like, I always have in the back of my mind. It's just, yes, understanding my own Catholicism. In fact, I think I grew in that and understood it more through the trip to Rome, but also having that heart that's for unity, that's for, us all being one, like as Jesus prayed in 1 John 17. So it's something that I kind of try to live by. But yeah, it was an amazing experience. My favorite moment of the whole trip was whenever Adam and I and Siobhan, shout out to Siobhan Dara from Youth Initiatives, met with Dean and Phil, and we met in St. Peter's Basilica. Adam was kind of winding the guys up, but eventually we found each other. And I remember thinking, like, this is it, like, this is what it's all about, is us, being together. And we went and had dinner together. For some reason, we all ordered burgers in Rome, which is weird. But yeah, I just remember, like, being like, this is my favorite time here. I'm with my group, I'm with my bros, I'm with, like, the people that I work with in and day out, so yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, absolutely, that was a great memory, especially the wind up. Phil has just had a long walk that day and was not up for it. But no, that was a great moment. And again, like you say, we were all there representing YouthLink, and it was actually, at one point, I realized it was quite sad, like, oh, we're not all going to be traveling together, but it was actually nice because we did get such a range of different experiences then. And so, sorry, just on to you, Adam, just basically, same questions these guys, why was it important for you to be at this, and sort of wider, why is it important for us as churches to be open to learning more about other churches and faiths?
Yeah, I suppose those that know me know that I really like to really know what's going to happen in anything and have it all planned out and prepared before I go. And I genuinely, week before, was a little bit afraid, because I just had no clue. And I was thinking, what is a 40-plus-year-old man afraid of going to this event? And had to really reflect on that. I suppose when I got there, I had so many amazing fun experiences, opportunities to really think about the people from a different background but worldwide, and that kind of was really eye-opening. But for me, I felt really challenging. Sometimes life's so busy, it passes you by, and you haven't really thought of why are people getting on or not getting on. And I always have been frustrated with why people don't get on with other people. And Debbie sort of alluded there that it's so important that Jesus Christ was at the centre. And whenever we started to talk about Jesus Christ, we found that the unity was there. And sometimes in Northern Ireland, it's so divisive. It's so them and us and difference. And after I started to settle in what having these people around me that cared for me, I was willing and open to listen. And you have to kind of get to the point where you're willing to go, you can't just have an opinion and shout it out. Sometimes you need to go, actually, what I say could really affect the people around me, and what they say could affect me. And those guys, those young people, were incredible in how they communicated and how we kind of not debated, but we in a loving way communicated where we were going and what we believed in. And since I've come back, actually, I've had so many questions of what it was about and how was it. And I'm really thankful for the learning, and thankful for Joe for sending us away, actually, to be honest. And I think a lot of people could learn from immersing themselves with other people. I think we want to make an opinion and we have no clue about what they're like as human beings. And it was so good. It was so good.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and we've brought a lot of NI perspectives to this. It's sort of the faith conflict here and how important it was to see that sort of represented there in Rome. But something for me that was also just really, really striking and really a great thing. We talk, Adam, about International Day of Peace coming up this Sunday. Something that was really striking for me was just the international presence there for this Jubilee of Youth. So you were there for 10 days, we were there for 7. And obviously the whole week was building up to this final weekend, where on Saturday night there would be, Holy Hour and prayers with Pope Leo, and then the following morning there would be Mass celebrated with him. And obviously, just as the week went on, I'm sure you can all agree, Rome just got busier and busier, just more and more young people flooding in. And it was just amazing, some of the young people you met, all the nationalities represented. And, Debbie touched on favourite moments. I'll go around, I'll get everyone's favourite moment. But one of my favourite moments that really struck me just on that theme of sort of international representation was at the Saturday night. None of us were fortunate enough to be able to attend the Sunday Mass, but we were present at the, Phil and I, at least with Derry, were present at the Holy Hour and prayer service with the Pope Leo and with the young people. And what was really striking was, there was prayers, there was talks, and it was a field of over 1 million. I think the estimate is somewhere in around the 2 million number, like so many young people. And you really felt it and you really heard it. So even when Pope Leo was talking and answering questions, you heard the people chatting around you. It was busy because people were setting up camp for the night, understandably so. But then we went into our Holy Hour of prayer, and Pope Leo exposed the Eucharist. So in the Catholic tradition, that time of adoration, that Holy Hour of prayer is a sacred moment, and the field just went silent, like millions of young people just silent in prayer, and it was really striking for me. I didn't think you could quiet a field of that, but that's what faith does. That's what belief does. It brings us to that sort of place of stillness. And I know a lot of the young people we traveled with were quite affected by that, especially emotionally. I think some people cried because it was just so striking for them. They've never experienced anything like this. And so I just thought that was an amazing witness. Like, internationally, we're all here for the same reason, for our same faith, and it was just amazing. So that's one of my standout favourite moments. And I guess I'll just pass it on, starting with you, Phil, maybe. What's a favourite standout moment for you?
I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to choose 2. So one, it was getting to know the bishops and the priests on a bit more of a personal level, actually getting to know who they are and their backgrounds. I think whenever you look at people within ministry, whatever background that is, I think sometimes there's a bit of when we look at them, you just see them in their role, but they are human beings too, and it's even getting to know them. And in fact, one of them, his first job was a milkman's assistant, was great, and to have the banter with them was absolutely incredible. But a real standout for me was meeting Sister Mary Grace, who works with the Sisterhood out in Colorado. Because being from like a Protestant background, you see someone dressed like Mary, and they're working in the Sisterhood, and they've devoted their lives. It's a bit unusual from that kind of background, but to hear her story and how she had the opportunity to play for the Australia Sevens rugby team in the Rio Olympics was absolutely incredible. But how she decided that no, she wasn't going to do that she was going to devote her life to serving God was truly amazing. And one of the bishops, we were all getting a photo afterwards, and he immediately grabbed me, brought me over to her, and I was thinking, what is he doing, bring me over? And he goes, Sister Mary, this man's non-denominational. And I was like, what is she going to say? And she just went, all right, mate, and high-fived me. And I thought it was absolutely amazing. And she was so down to earth. She was so lovely. And just her faith and her dedication was absolutely incredible. And the ministry, what she's doing out in Colorado, was absolutely incredible to hear. So I think meeting Sister Mary Grace was very much a standout moment for me.
Absolutely, yeah. We were very fortunate to be able to attend, all pilgrims travelling from Ireland, had these shared gatherings. One of them was a talk with Sister Mary Grace, another one was with Bishop Robert Barnes. So very, very fortunate to attend those. Any other favourite moments, Debbie, that stand out for you?
Yeah, I think, I've already mentioned a couple of them. Meeting our squad in St. Peter's Square, hanging out with those amazing young adults. I think for me, and this is kind of a bit on a deeper level, I was thinking about this on the way down to the lovely Larne today. I was just thinking about the beauty that there is in Rome, and it's a beautiful place, and it was lovely and warm, and you can get nice ice cream and nice pasta and stuff. So that sort of stuff is beautiful in itself, but just the beauty in the churches that we went to, and the beauty in the faces of people, and the beauty of the prayer, and it's really hard to explain it in I wish I could use sort of a different language to explain that, but just something incredible about the beauty that was just surrounding everything that we were involved with. And I really would agree with that moment, those moments at the vigil on the Saturday night. I wasn't there, but I was watching it on TV, and I think I turned it on right as the adoration began. And I was just sitting in the room going, what? What's going on here? It's so quiet. And there was no noise. And I was like, this is coming across, even on television, this is coming across that there's something amazing happening here. So yeah, I don't know if that really helps, but just the beauty that I saw, and the beauty of people's faces, and different voices and different colors, and people from all over the world. And for me, again, this might sound too deep, but I think that's what heaven's going to be like. It's just hearing and seeing and accepting difference, and knowing that we're all just one, so.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And on to you, Adam, then. We'll finish with you. Standout moment.
Listen, I have so many. And actually, when I was going from Phil to Debbie there, I changed it about 5 times. I have so many fun, amazing moments, and I have so many learning moments. For me, probably similar to Debbie, was I remember when we were going into the event where there was going to be over 1 million people predicted, which was obviously a lot more. And being with a couple of the young people there, and behind us there was 4 or 5 Union flags. And I remember how I looked at them, and then how I looked at the tricolour, but then merged in amongst it was so many other flags, to the point where actually we got lost, and James was holding up a flag and we still got lost. But the extent of the variety of people from all over the world, and to be looking in their eyes, and being able to share my journey with them as we walked in, which took 3 or 4 hours in 37, 38 degree heat. I was kind of blown away in terms of how these young people were so committed, and probably again sharing what Debbie said, that reference, that reverence in terms of, I noticed that the whole way through the trip. And sometimes we can be flippant going into church, and we're maybe a wee bit loud, or we're saying a load of people, but I think we can learn a lot from that, and particularly I think sometimes we forget why we go to church or to mass, and we forget that, but that wasn't forgotten about there, and young people weren't messing about. They were really committed and walked together and chatted through. So that was probably although I was extremely warm, at one point I was worried if I was going to get water again. For a full hour there was no access to water, and then they started to chuck water bottles at us, and we collected them. But the sheer extent of having over 1 million people around you, and being able to share that with them was incredible. incredible. I've loads of other funny ones and loads of other things, but if you give me one, I'd probably go for that.
That's for another podcast, Adam's stories from Rome. No, but thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. But as we have been talking about since we come back, there's literally so much we can dive into with this, and we had a really blessed time. We're very fortunate to be able to go. So thank you so much for being here, guys, and thank you so much to you for listening. We really appreciate it, and we hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we've enjoyed recording it. So hope you have a wonderful time. Happy International Day of Peace. Happy Jubilee year, and we will see you all in the next episode.